Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, February 14th, 2019. I am Rochelle Baptiste with the details. Over 19 million EC dollars worth of illicit drugs were destroyed today by the SVG police force at Raboka. SVG-TV's Bavin Oliver was on hand to witness the destruction exercise and files this report.
Thousands of pounds of marijuana and cocaine literally went up in smoke today as the SVG police force continues with its fight against the illicit drug trade. Representatives from the judiciary, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the church and the media were on hand to witness the destruction of the drugs. Speaking with SVG-TV News, Commissioner of Police Colin John said the activity forms part of their crime-fighting strategy.
Well, the total amount of cannabis that we are destroying today is 5,361 pounds. Total amount of cocaine, 116 pounds. The cannabis is in the value of $14,474,700. That's the street value, calculated at $900 a pound for the cannabis. The cocaine is $5,103,900, also EC. So we are here destroying those products today. Well, drugs and the other issues that comes with it is an issue, and we have to really try and make sure that we, as far as possible, reduce the supply demand for drugs so that other crimes such as robberies and murders may also not occur, and also the gun violence that are related to the drug trade.
Acting Director of Public Prosecution, Sigilla McDowell, said the destruction of the drugs is a sign that the justice system is working well. She said it also signals to the public that the fight against illicit drugs is still a priority for the police and the government.
It's important to impress on the public that we are still strong on the fight against drug altogether on all fours. So this is where you see the end product of the work in terms of the police. They start the process in terms of investigating, the prosecutions follow through, and then we have the magistracy and the judiciary. All of us join hands together to ensure that the justice system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a well-oiled machinery, and this is the end product. Right? So when we see that the drugs are off the street and burned, it says that things are fully functioning and we are quite on the right path.
Senior pastor of the Bethel Gospel Assembly, Bishop Hollis Charles, took the opportunity to encourage the nation's youth to choose Christ over drugs.
I want to commend the police highly for the work they are doing, because I believe many lives have been destroyed. Some are teenagers, some are adults, and I believe that the Lord wants to bring salvation to many persons. So I'm asking the young men, young women to turn from marijuana and accept Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior. He is the answer to their problem.
For SVG-TV Evening News, I am Bavin Oliver.
A government on Tuesday signed 2 contracts amounting to some 32 million EC dollars, which will be used to improve road conditions in this country. The signing ceremony held at Cabinet Room was between the government and the Kuwait Dynamics Limited for contracting work on the construction of the National Agricultural and Feeder Roads Project and for the feasibility studies and preliminary designs for the rehabilitation of the North Windward Coast Road to be undertaken by NACO Derwe, a NACO Kuwaiti firm, and Derwe British Caribbean firm, who will serve as consultants. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Transport and Works, Hudson Ned, signed on behalf of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, while Osama Rafi, represented QAT Dynamics Limited, and Dr. Nabil Abdul Rahim represented Nako Dewi Consultancy. Minister of Finance Camila Gonzalez said he was elated to be part of the ceremony, as 2.5 years ago he signed original loan documents with Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development. He said there was a considerable amount of work to be done on selecting the roads and a great deal of engineering work.
I want to recognize the very strong work of Minister Francis's team and the other engineers that were involved in, and then there was a tendering process and all the rest of it. So a lot of work goes in between the signing of the loan document and the actual construction of the roads. I confess, and Nelson knows, that there have been moments of frustration along the way, and he's heard from us in one way or the other about our frustrations. But we're very happy to be here where we are today. And where we are today is spending $32 million in 32 months. And that's $1 million a month, and in our currency, on 10 different roads across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Finance Minister said Transport Minister Senator Julian Francis has been very strong on the issue of implementation. He also expressed gratitude to the Kuwaiti Fund for Arab Economic Development for the generous terms under which they extended the loan to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and OPEC Fund for International Development for its generous terms.
Minister Francis made a point of indicating that Kuwait Dynamics is going to subcontract, and I want to recognize the very strong role that Minister Francis has played in ensuring that these works are constructed for maximum efficiency, but also for maximum impact in the economy and among contractors across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, both on this project and on the PAVE project that he mentioned, which is a much smaller scale project, but nonetheless very important, the Public Access for Village Enhancement project. He has ensured that they're structured in such a way that even if there is oversight by a main contractor, local smaller contractors are able to bid and get work and do work as part of these projects, to ensure that there's a greater degree of local employment, a greater degree of local economic activity. So we get our roads, we get them efficiently, thanks to the very strong work of an internationally recognized contractor. And so they will be bringing their expertise to bear, but the money is not all being sort of exported back to Kuwait in a circle from the fact that we're getting the money from Kuwait to begin with. A lot of that money is going to be spent locally on contractors, and it will generate a considerable amount of employment.
Minister Gonzalez urged the private sector to step up in terms of supplying materials and services to make the contract work.
And I have no doubt that they will do so, because people want to make money. And there's a lot of money to be made in St. Vincent and the Grenadines from this contract. So we're happy to be at that stage, the stage we're at now. I understand that the prioritization of the 10 roads is ongoing, and I've tried to stay out of it, because you'll notice that 1 or 2 of the roads are in my constituency.
Or kept out of it.
So I had my own views over which road should be done first. But I am happy that the time for completion is relatively short. 32 months is not a long time. And I have all confidences that going forward we're going to meet these deadlines. I mean, that is the big thing for me going forward as a Minister of Finance, that if we say something is going to be done in 32 months, it will be done in a maximum of 32 months. And I stress that again.
Minister Gonzalez said the government spent considerable sums of a main road network, but never before has it spent this sort of money on internal roads, secondary roads, and feeder roads. The cost-effectiveness of the various forms of clean energy is being recognized nationwide, and the Argyle International Airport is one entity which continues to embrace green energy technology. On the anniversary of its second year of operation, the air facility welcomes the installation of an electric charging station and a solar farm. At an unveiling ceremony today, a representative of the energy unit, Deandra Jackson, said the charging station is the second which was installed by the unit as they seek to provide the needed infrastructure for clean energy vehicles in SVG. Jackson said the charging station at the AIA is part of the country's thrust in embracing clean energy technology.
One such simple example is that of a drive from Kingstown to Dorsetshire Hill. We've seen through our range and road performance assessment that with a beginning charge level of 89 miles, the driver after a round trip back to town arrived at the energy unit with 91 miles. This presented a gain of 2 miles for a 4-mile distance. The regenerative braking mechanism in the EV simply places electricity back into the battery of an electric vehicle when it is coasting or when the driver applies brakes. For the paradigm shift to take place, we must first provide the necessary infrastructure to accommodate the uptake. Charging stations are necessary and should be placed at strategic points across SVG. I am happy to announce that the UNDP PACES project, we have been able to erect 2 charging stations. Thank you to AIA for facilitating the installation of this second unit erected in the parking lot for all visitors and locals alike to see the initiative taken here in SVG and our commitment to e-mobility in the near future.
Jackson said the solar farm will provide significant savings for the AIA. She said both the solar farm and the charging station is a step towards a greener air facility.
Installation of a 597.2 kilowatt solar PV farm at the southern end of the airstrip is yet another beautiful addition of a renewable energy technology. It is expected that the system will create savings for the airport of roughly $429,984 per month. This nestles the many benefits of RETs to cut costs, contribute to fossil fuel reduction, and to provide an energy alternative, clean energy alternative. As each passenger flies into St. Vincent, they are able to view the array of panels. UNDP, JEF, and CDF and the energy unit is encouraged by the enthusiasm displayed here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted that you are all here to witness the launch of the charging unit and solar PV farm. I wish the Argyle International Airport every success, and I look forward to an even greener airport with the use of even more renewable energy technologies. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the AIA, Hadley Bond, said clean renewable energy is the way of the future and encouraged the private sector to get on board.
All I would like to say though basically is that renewable energy, especially for more developing states like ours, is where we should go to really cut our demand on fossil fuels and dependency on oil and foreign, where we can have foreign exchange that is viable to our small economies. What I would like to chart the business community in SVG is to have more of these stations and more initiative along this line, not only for PV but also in wind energy. We sit in a region where we have a fair amount of wind, and I think the combination of both solar and wind would be ideal for sustainability for us.
On day 4 of the hearing in the election petitions case, the lawyers for the respondents call up their first witness, former supervisor of elections, Sylvia Finley-Scrub. Her testimony came after 2 more witnesses who were called up by the petitioner's legal team. Larissa Pugsley-Kidd was back in court today and tells us more in this report.
4 witnesses were called up for the North Windward challenge, with Neolon Adams being the 3rd person taking the stand today on day 4 of the hearing in the election petitions case. Adams, who was stationed at NWI, claimed that the presiding officer, Ms. John, willfully opened the ballot and that there was no recount of ballots for the December 2015 election results. He also claimed that there were 39 more counterfeits than ballots. Under cross-examination by senior counsel for the respondents, Douglas Mendez, Adams was asked to demonstrate what he saw when he said open, as he initially disagreed with Mendez when Mendez opened up a paper. As it regards to the recount, which Adams claims was not done, Mendez told him that there were several statements which indicated a recount was done. Adams also told the court that the presiding officer repeatedly used the ULP's campaign song, "Show Me Your Voting Finger," to known ULP supporters. The last witness to take the stand for the petitioners in the North Windward case was Cheryl Sutherland, a teacher who was stationed at a polling station in Standy Bay. Sutherland said she was called to witness the counting of ballots by one Mr. King. She said she has never been a polling agent or part of any election activity except as a voter. She said no counting took place as well. However, she was reminded that in her statements she used counting more than once. She was also asked if she knew what is Form 6 as it regards to election matters, to which she said no, except in the school system. Mendez then told her that in her statement she said that she saw no Form 6. That was when she said that she did not write her statements and that it was her lawyer who did the recording of her statement. Also in today's petition, Benjamin Exeter was cross-examined by senior counsel Anthony Astafan on the video he presented as evidence. Lawyer Mayor Eustace was also called up for re-examination as there was an issue as to what was being said by Mr. Games, who was at the time responding to her. The lawyer's respondents called up their first witness, former Supervisor of Elections Sylvia Finley Scrub, who presided over the December 2015 general elections. Scrub was asked about the seals used as she was responsible for providing equipment and materials to election officers. Scrub explained that she had to make a decision to use plastic straps and seals that would ensure ballot boxes were secure, as they were now using plastic boxes as ballot boxes, as against wooden boxes which were previously used, which had locks and keys. Asked if the plastic boxes could be used with locks and keys, she said she did not know and that she did not make queries if any were used during the process. The hearing continues tomorrow. Reporting for SVG-TV News, Larissa Pogsley-Kidd.
Meanwhile, one of the lawyers for the respondents, Carlos James, said that he is pleased with the hearing now underway.
Called for this matter to be disposed with expeditiously. We're finally pleased to see that the matter has started with Justice Stanley John, who is acting, the Trinidadian judge. So far, we have had the case presented from the petitioners, Benjamin Exeter, and also from the petitioner in the North Windward matter. They have concluded their case quite quickly, but we are happy that we're able to have these matters ventilated and we have the evidence out for the judge to deliberate. We have just started hearing evidence from Ms. Sylvia Finley Scrub, who is one of the respondents in the matter. In fact, the first respondent in the matter, and her evidence she continues tomorrow under cross-examination.